What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today we are going to be showcasing how to get the brand new Winterbite Exotic Stasis Glaive just added into Destiny 2 within the Lightfall expansion. But guys, this video is kind of a doozy, and that's because you have to do a ton of different things in order to simply acquire the Strider exotic quest that drops the Winterbite, and then you have to do the quest itself. So I've made sure to cover everything, whether you've not started at all, you bought Lightfall yesterday, or you're in the middle of these objectives. We're gonna have everything you need to know in one place. But because of that, I've made sure to timestamp everything. So make sure to check the YouTube play bar for the different chapters and find the exact step you're on. Wow, that's really helpful. I should subscribe. I didn't say that, you thought it. All right, now let's get started. The first thing you are going to need to do is complete the Lightfall campaign on either normal or legendary. If you are going through legendary, guys, I have done a guide showcasing some great tips and loadouts for how to beat that efficiently. Check it out, it is linked up above. But regardless, when you do beat that campaign, as you can see, it's going to pop up that you can go to the Hall of Heroes and honor the fallen. Specifically, that is where you're heading. You're then going to see a blue quest marker above the city archivist. Interact with this person and they are going to give you your first of many different quests called Welcome to the Hall of Heroes. So you need to go to the 8 different information stations located around the immediate vicinity. So you just interact with them, they're going to play lore, you can stop and listen to them if you like. However, you can simply bolt it to the next one if you're just interested in getting this done fast. Now, once you have interacted with all 8, you're going to head over to the far left memorial, and as you can see, you're actually able to repair it. And this is what you're going to be doing. Each different quest given out by the city archivist is going to be a bunch of things that culminates in you repairing the different memorials. And once you get all of those done, you will unlock this exotic quest. So you head back, interact with this person, then you get the next quest called Stargazer. And here is where things get a lot more complicated. So the first quest step is to loot the Terminal Overload reward chest at the end of the activity. So you can open up your map and specifically load in to Terminal Overload. Now this is going to actually change on a rotating basis. So right now, it's in the Zephyr Concourse area, but if you're watching this in the future, it may be somewhere else. It doesn't necessarily matter where it is right now. But it is quite the activity, so you may want to actually load in several times, like load in and then go to orbit if you don't see anyone, and load in until you actually find people doing this activity, because it absolutely can be a doozy to do solo. With that being said, you're going to fight your way through these objectives, keeping in mind that we could apparently fail certain objectives, like not be able to kill a certain boss at the end of the wave, and it would still advance to the next wave and eventually culminate in this big boss fight that had no timer. So take all the time you need to beat these final few bosses, whittle them down with a primary if you need, because once you do kill these final 2 bosses, that is going to drop 2 different reward chests, and these are the ones you actually need for this quest step. Now, one is just acquirable for anyone, and that's the one you need. The other one will actually require a key code, and if you do have a key code, you're actually going to want to save it until a further quest step. Now, a bit of a pro tip here. If you've leveled up your Neomuna rank with Nimbus enough, you can actually get an upgrade that lets you buy a bounty that will specifically give you a Terminal Overload key if you complete 3 Terminal Overloads. And you are going to do multiple terminal overloads throughout this giant quest chain, so definitely a good idea to grab that bounty before embarking on all this. Regardless, once you've opened the chest and the quest step has updated, you're then going to have a different marker, as you can see off to the left of the map, and you're going to have to head and specifically kill a certain Hydra, as you can see. Once you take this guy down, you're going to then need to obtain a terminal overload key, like I just mentioned. So you will have to go around Neomuna and open chests. And definitely while you're doing this, you can grab patrols as well. Stuff like that, chests, patrols, public events, all of that stuff can have a random and small chance to drop these terminal overload keys. But by far the most efficient way to farm them is to simply put on the ghost mod where you can see chests within a large radius and then just run around a certain area or one area, and then when you've exhausted that one area, go to another area and just pick up every single chest you can find. Then, as you can see, eventually you're going to get the terminal overload key. And once you do, you're gonna have to do that terminal overload activity once again. This time, you're gonna beat it and you're gonna have to use that key to open that other chest that you didn't before. As you can see, opening that chest gives you significantly more loot than the other one, but also will advance the quest step. Now, you're going to have to head back to the Hall of Heroes and repair another monument. And once you've done that, head back to the City Archivist, interact with them. They're going to give you some rewards for completing that quest and then offer you a new quest, Maelstrom. So for here, you have two different objectives, Area Defended as well as Strand Sources Bonded. So the first thing you're going to need to do is head to the area of Neomuna where the Vex incursion is occurring. So again, this may change depending on when you're doing this. For me, it was the Limming Harbor. In fact, it will actually say, normally just has a little specific symbol for Vex incursion, but now it will replace that with a blue quest symbol with the actual quest name of Maelstrom, as you can see right here. So I head to the Limming Harbor and there's going to be Vex everywhere. Now, as for the objectives, bonding with Strand is pretty easy. You simply roam around the map until you find an area like you can see in the background gameplay that has that Strand source that you can interact with to gain your Strand subclass and faster recharge, and you're simply going to need to do that twice. Now, as for defending the area, this is a little bit more substantial. So a lot of different things are going to count towards this defense percentage. By far the biggest is public events, especially if you can turn them heroic. However, they don't spawn that often, so patrols are your next best bet. They award about 4 or 5% upon completion. So absolutely, especially the ones where you just have to scan an area, those are super fast. If you're with a group of people, the ones where you kill enemies or even you get supplies for killing enemies, those are going to go pretty fast, but also doing things like killing high value targets and getting their chests. I think just getting the normal chests that spawn around the region, and especially if we're talking about patrols, the golden patrols. Now, these will actually have a different color as well as different symbols, as you can see in the background gameplay, but they will reward significantly more percent towards this objective than a normal patrol. And by the way, some of them will take you far outside this zone. It doesn't matter, as long as they originate inside the Vex incursion zone, they will count for the percentage. But once you've done enough of that stuff, this quest step is going to update, and now you're going to have to complete the Lost Sector in the Vex incursion zone, which of course is going to be different depending on where the Vex incursion zone is. Regardless, once you get that done and open the chest after you kill the final boss, the quest step is going to update yet again, and now you're prompted to go back to the Hall of Heroes and repair the memorial. Once you do, interact with the City Archivist once again, get a reward, and get the new quest called Bluejay. The first thing you need to do is visit Nimbus. After doing that, your quest is going to update, and now you have two different objectives. You have to acquire an engine that you get from, surprise, surprise, Terminal Overload, but also you have to acquire 8 different fragments. And these fragments, the shell code fragments, are going to come from defeating combatants in the current Vex incursion zone with a Strand subclass equipped. So whereas before when you were doing the defense you could be whatever, now you specifically have to put on your Strand subclass to get these kills. And it really did seem like you have to get Strand ability, maybe weapon, but definitely ability kills in order to get these shell codes to drop. But once you have slain out with Strand on these Vex and acquired 8 of these fragments, you then need to go back to the terminal overload activity and beat it to specifically spend a terminal overload key. So don't do this part of the quest unless you already have a key. And then once you do open that chest that does require the key, as you can see, you're going to get the item you need and your quest is going to update. And now you're prompted to do an all-new mission called Partition that has popped up in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, as you can see. So you're going to have to physically head there and interact with this Vex gate in order to start the mission. It has actually quite a few different modifiers, and importantly, the recommended power is 1790, so you may want to make sure you're leveled up enough to do this. But to be honest, if you're 15 below, you should be fine. So 1775. Now, this mission is actually pretty sweet. It has some pretty crazy sparrow sequences, as you can see. And beyond that, you're simply running through, killing enemies to extend the timers on bombs you need to defuse. And again, it's just a fun mission overall. But eventually, guys, once you are done this mission, you are going to get a reward chest, and then you have to go and restore another memorial. So head back to the Hall of Heroes, get that done, and then interact with the city archivist. And finally, guys, you're going to get a reward, and then you can start the exotic quest Strider. And the very first step is going to take you 3 days to complete minimum. No, I'm not joking, and that's because you have to use a terminal overload key on the chest in each of the 3 different areas of Neomuna. So that terminal overload public event is a daily rotation. So if it's in the Ahima Park location right now, then you better make sure to have a key, go in there, complete it at least once today, and then on daily reset tomorrow, it's going to switch to, for example, the Zephyr Concourse. So you need to make sure tomorrow to go do a terminal overload, have the key, spend it, and then the 3rd day, you're going to finally be able to get this quest step done. So this is definitely the biggest sticking point, the biggest thing to overcome within this quest. But eventually, once you have done all 3 of these locations and spent those 3 keys, so again, like, make sure you're not farming one location and using up all your keys one day and then hoping to just get keys randomly the next day. Just make sure to spend them wisely. But again, once that's done, your quest step is going to update, and now you're going to have to head to Ahimsa Park and gather location data by killing the Shadow Legion Cabal, as well as do the Lost Sector within that area. But the trick here, guys, is that the Lost Sector is full of Shadow Legion Cabal, and as you can see right here, they do count to drop that location data. So definitely just head straight to the Lost Sector and do that, and you'll get the other step done as you do. But after killing the boss and opening the Lost Sector chest, your quest step is going to update. You have to go to the archivist and talk to him, and after that, you're going to be instructed to repair the final broken memorial. And then it's going to update again, and you have to travel to the bottom right corner of your destination map, as you can see, and you're going to have to take out these Hydras. And every time you do, you're then going to have to go over to the Vex network and interact with it to slow down the conflux. And you're going to keep making your way forward in this area, doing that same thing, killing the Hydra, interacting with the conflux, until finally there's a very big Hydra you need to take out. And then once you're done with this part, head back to the city archivist, and he's outright gonna give you the Winterbite. So this thing, first impressions, is kind of crazy. The exotic perk here is called Big Frigid Glaive, fires a ball of energy that locks onto nearby targets and freezes them. It also has another unique perk here called Weighted Edge. This weapon's melee attacks deal increased damage and slow targets when loaded with ammo. So as long as you have one ammo in reserves, and remember the normal melee attacks aren't going to use up that ammo, you're going to again do more damage. And I did find out while using it that these slows will actually result in a freeze if you're meleeing the same target over and over again. So definitely an interesting weapon to try out. But guys, that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.